Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So I wanted to bring to you this video, and I wanted to delve into the issue that happened in Oklahoma at a beauty supply store, where a store owner, he punched a woman in the mouth after her child had pocketed a keychain. And so my title is Black Women and Asian Owned Businesses, and the issues that we have in these businesses with being treated disrespectfully. They're only wanting your money, and they want your patronage in terms of you to buy their products that they have in their store, but you're treated with disrespect. And so I found it rather alarming that this whole thing came about. And on top of that, not that surprised either. Um, but what was also very sad is there were also the following week there was a protest. Same store, and then there were a lot of Black or African American owner only a few people in at a time because he didn't know whether they were going to come in and destroy the store out of anger because of what had happened to the woman being punched in the face, if they were going to be there to retaliate, or he looked at them or viewed them as being, just less than, just spend your money here. I don't care about you. I don't care about your community. All I care about is the money that you put in our store. And that is the reaction that people gave on that particular video. So this is about the Oklahoma beauty supply store owner who punches woman after her child supposedly pockets this keychain. This was August 14, 2018. This article came out by Cherise Frazier. A troubling viral video had emerged on Monday showing an Oklahoma salon owner as he physically assaults a customer after the woman's son is accused of shoplifting. So the video shows what is called Jun's beauty supply owner, Chang Seok Jun, as he punches a Black customer in front of his store in Tulsa, Oklahoma on a Sunday. So according to the Yahoo News, the unidentified woman's son placed a small keychain in his pocket as he left the store with his mom. The incident was captured by a witness who posted the video all over social media. You can see that Shun's strike drew blood. He hit the woman really hard in the mouth. And so there's the video that is posted. And so some people may have seen this, some people may not have seen this, but this incident went viral. It was also posted on Twitter by Sean King.
Oh, he just hit her. Oh, dang, this door is locked. She bleeding. No.
Okay. For those of you who didn't see that,
Oh, he just hit her. Oh, dang, this door is locked. She bleeding. No.
okay, so this same store owner or the same store, I say maybe a few weeks or maybe not even a few weeks, a week later, there was some protests that were held in front of the store. And so I seen a video, and there have been a few people that have spoke on the issue. There was a Black man, and then there was some other people who were protesting against the store and what had happened. What was really disturbing is that you see a young Black woman who came forward and she was using a lot of profanities towards the protesters. And instead of her turning away and trying to find another store to do her business, she is persistent about going to the store, as is there were others that were lined up to go to the store. And so the store owner, what he had did was is he had them all lined up outside, and he would only allow a few in at a time because he didn't know which ones were there to protest against him and vent against him, or which ones were there to spend their money in the store. That's all he was concerned about. So he wasn't apologetic whatsoever about the incident on what he had committed in front of a bunch of people that were passing by and that witnessed it. So this is at John's Beauty Supply in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the one of North Peoria. And this is the second time an Asian owner of a Black beauty supply shop has physically attacked a Black woman in the past week. And so this is not something that is new. This is something that is now becoming prevalent, where they have gotten extremely belligerent towards the customers that pretty much pay hard-earned money to keep these stores going. So a small child walked out with a little keychain. She took it back and he punched her in the face. So Mr. John followed the victim outside to confront her about the incident, and she threw the item back inside of the store, then pushed him in his upper torso as she was leaving, said Sergeant Shane, and I believe his name is Sergeant Shane Tuell of Tulsa, Oklahoma Police Department. In an interview with Yahoo, Mr. John then punched the woman in the right side of her mouth with his closed fist. Monday's video comes just days after the Brooklyn nail spa worker was captured beating a customer with a broom over a botched eyebrow job. And so the videos summon the long-simmered tension between Black and Asian communities. Since the August incident, protesters have taken to the streets to advocate for their respective side. Many critics on social media argue that Jun would have never raised his hand to strike the woman if she was a white woman. Others argue over whether or not the child was wrong for taking the item. So Sean King on Twitter, he goes on to say that this is at John's Beauty Supply in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the one of North Peoria. This is the second time that the Asian owner or an Asian owner of a Black beauty supply chain or shop has physically attacked a Black customer woman in the past week. So a small child walked out with a little keychain. She went to take it back, and there was confrontation before she could actually take it back. So he punched her in the face. And so you saw the video. My boys have walked out of stores with little things. This is by Laura Myers. And she says, my little boys have walked out of the store with little things over and over many years. And I've always returned them. I've never been punched in the face because of it. So Black women don't have that liberty. That is both sickening and enraging. If it had been a white woman, he would not have done that. And so this is from a white woman posting this on Twitter. And so, Keenan, I just don't like how we criticize the reaction, his hit, and belittle the action that caused the reaction, her hit. That's all I'm saying. To your second point, he probably wouldn't have hit a white woman, but that still doesn't excuse her because she's Black. And so this looks like it's coming from a Keenan. And Keenan, the avatar looks very small, but he looks as though he may be a Black guy. And so I have done videos on how some black guys will not support black females and they don't protect black females. There's some that don't and some that will. And so Petty May, she hardly hit him. She comes back with her response to Keenan. She hardly hit him. That's dramatic. She used her arm to lightly push him. So Sean King, he basically is telling you and showing you the video so you can witness what has happened. Any black person who continues to shop at this particular store, John's Beauty Supply in Tulsa, Oklahoma, North Peoria, need to have their head examined, knowing that this man does not have any respect for his customers. The man who assaulted the black woman should be definitely be arrested and charged for what he did, his assault. African Americans are their target customers, and look how disrespectful they are to us. It is not acceptable. Okay, so the video is aired here several times. Racism is not getting worse, it's getting filmed. This is an employee of John's Beauty Supply in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Her toddler took a keychain out of the store. She returned it, but this exchange happened. The employee has been charged with assault and battery. Okay, and so this is somebody that responded. She didn't hit him intentionally, but clearly he has no respect for women. You don't hit women. What a POS. Okay. And so you can see it is posted here for anyone who wants to see this. And yes, I want to talk about this because this is very disturbing, because most of the beauty supply chains that are even in California and Los Angeles even are Korean-owned or Asian-owned beauty supply chains. But there is now something new that is developing, and I will get into that really quickly. Okay, and so I wanted to go into this right here. Shop Black, Black business, Black culture, Black thought, Black love, okay? And so I wanted you to look at this right here. This is called The Politics Behind the Black Beauty Store Industry Dominated by Koreans. A Karen Coffee opened Bella Beauty and Hair in January with lots of optimism and a stylist's eye for hair extensions and other products tailored to Black women. She thought that would be enough to succeed. Okay, but she didn't realize that the game would be stacked against her before she even opened her door. Like Black entrepreneurs before her, Coffee quickly discovered that behind the beauty supply storefronts that dot the nation's urban neighborhoods and suburban shopping plazas sits a multi-billion-dollar industry for Black hair products that run largely by South Koreans and does not cede its power to or market share without a fight. Korean Americans cornered the market decades ago by controlling the manufacturing, distribution, and the retail sales of hair extensions. The money maker of the industry, Black owners believe Korean wholesalers shut them out and only supply Korean retailers. Coffee says that she's seen at firsthand some Korean wholesalers, she said, have denied or ignored her requests for products. Meanwhile, a new Korean-owned store that opened across the street a month before her has some brands she can't even get. So all of it is run by Koreans, said Coffee, 32 years of age. A lot of them don't make it easy for Blacks to get in this industry. So I didn't know it would be this challenging. Okay. So they pretty much built this whole industry decades ago and shut Black people who are entrepreneurs that want to get in the business out decades ago. And still, but something's happening because of these incidences that we've been seeing occurring around the country with the disrespect, just wanting to have our money and wanting to get us as customers, but disrespecting us as customers. There's something that is happening now. So Korean wholesalers deny any preferential treatment. Shake and Go, which supplies coffee nearby competitors, said it works with retailers based on local competition and other exclusively economic factors, and the choices are far from being discriminatory. Coffee, though, says that those statements run contrary to what she and other black beauty supply owners experience on the daily. So coffee's part of a growing number of Black women here and around the country determined to preserve, even if it means bypassing Korean supply chain. They're going to extreme lengths, employing innovative and grit to do so. Okay, so if you look to my right, you'll see what is NFBS, the board members. It's called the Korean Times. Okay, and so there has been a really concerted effort to get Black people to enter the retail side of this business, said Lori Tharps, Temple University journalism professor and co-author of Hair Story, Untangling the Roots of Black Hair in America. There are success stories, she added. Somehow, Black people are finding alternative suppliers and moving past this idea that Koreans are keeping them out of this very lucrative space. And so that is an article I thought was very interesting. So if you want to know what that abbreviation NFBS is, it's the National Federation of Beauty Suppliers Board Members. And this right here is the Korean Times. And so it has been something that they've been involved in decades ago. And so I wanted to move over here. There is something that is happening. Now, this was out of the Dallas Examiner. Business of Beauty. Black-owned beauty suppliers form an alliance with Chinese Korean suppliers. Okay. About 63% of Black women spend $240 annually on hair and styling tools over a 6-month period, according to Mentel reports. Moreover, 10% of Black women spend $250 annually on these products, with 51% of Black consumers spending more on hair care items than 34% of consumers overall. The Black hair industry is a booming business that is already worth $9 billion nationwide and internationally, and the Black people aren't profiting from it like they should, according to the Black-owned Beauty Supply Association. Korean store owners and suppliers dominate profits from Black hair brands and products through the Chinese manufacturers they buy from, but this will change soon. In October, BOBSA, Black-owned Beauty Supply Association founder Sam Enon created a direct link with the Chinese government and their factories to form an alliance in which Black-owned hair brands will be created and sold to Black hair vendors and beauty suppliers. Our market is every aspect of getting products to the end users, which, excuse me, is the Black consumer, Enon said. There's a story to be told, which is buy Black and circulate the Black dollar in our communities. Enon said that the goal for his new joint venture is to create a new pipeline in which Black-owned beauty supply stores can have a direct connection with hair distributors without middlemen and sell African-American brands of hair products through BOBSA, which has advocated for Black hair institutions and opened up 200 Black beauty supply stores over the past 13 years. So during the visit, Enon said that he received a warm welcome from Chinese officials and was given a tour of the hair supply factories, which unveiled information regarding Chinese-Korean relationships in the black hair business. And so Chinese factories aren't making very much profit selling hair to the Koreans, he said. The Chinese really wanted to get into coming to the US and sell directly to the black community and hair care industry, but they couldn't because they had no way of doing it. Enon, BOBSA, has tried to work with Korean suppliers in the past, and at the time they made it clear that they didn't want to work with African American hair proprietors. So although this obstacle creates a barrier for black hair businesses, the connection between Chinese manufacturers and black-owned beauty stores isn't easy to grasp either. I have been told many times that African American store owners that they buy directly from the factories, Elon wrote in a written statement to the press. After being there myself, I realized the logistics are not possible, which are a hindrance to the success of black beauty supply stores and limits competition in this market. The culture clash presented on an obstacle, but BOBSA was able to eventually work it out. So the Chinese and Korean have never worked with the US, Enon said, and we have always been the customer or the consumer. And so it's about getting them to understand how we do business and understanding how they do business. And so the new African American hairline will be manufactured from a new factory in China called Anhui Union Hair. So it's probably a foreign type name, and Cultural Co. Ltd. The first shipment will arrive this month through BOBSA Enterprise and Black Hair Alliance in Chicago. So it will be sold nationwide to all Black-owned beauty suppliers and to online Black hair vendors. The brand will also be promoted at Black hair shows throughout the country, according to Enon. Okay, so I thought this was pretty much lays out what this whole industry entails. And so here we got it here, having this happen. A black hair supply once a Korean business shifts to black ownership. And so because of these incidences happening, and because there's a lot of talk about having more black dollars and black businesses and black dollars be represented in the black community, this is entitled Black Hair Supplies Once a Korean Business Shifts to Black Ownership by Adora. And this is a long name. I can't really pronounce it, but it sounds like it may be African. So Magadi. Okay. And so you see a woman here who is looking at the different products, a customer at Melanin, and Canal Winchester looks at a weave hair product as Miss Melanin. And I may not be saying it correctly, but that's what it looks like. The name is saying is one of the 7 Black-owned beauty supplies, and I believe that is what it's called. It's called Miss Melanin and Canal Winchester, and it's one of 7 Black-owned beauty supply stores in the state. So a U.S. hair and beauty employee rapidly scans the barcodes of the latest shipment of hair extensions. Black burgundy and chestnut brown weaves pile up on the floor as she throws one pack down to pick up another. U.S. Hair and Beauty is the biggest beauty supply business in Columbus at 7 stores and growing. So we've averaged opening 1 store every 2 years, says General Manager Ed Chain. Last year in 2017, we were able to open 2 stores in 1 year, the 161 store and the James Road store. The 2 newest locations boast more than 20,000 square feet of floor space. Shelves are lined with hair pomade, shampoos, and twisting gels. Thousands of the hair extension packs are neatly displayed against store walls from ceiling to floor, synthetic and human hair, curly, straight, twisted, and loose. So they've been in business for about 30 years after opening their first store in Cleveland in the late 1980s. So in the 90s, the current owner took over U.S. Hair chain says. And we've expanded from the little corner store types to the multi-supersized stores. The Black Beauty is the big business. And so more than 80% of the last year's spending on ethnic hair and beauty aids was attributed to Black consumers, according to the 2018 Nielsen Demographic Spending Report. But almost 3/4 of the country's beauty supply stores are owned by Korean Americans. And slowly, the marketplace is shifting into the hands of African Americans, including right here in central Ohio. And so that's Ed Chang that you see right here. He is the general manager of the U.S. Hair Beauty, which runs 7 stores in Columbus, Ohio. Okay. So how Black hair became a Korean business. 99% of the U.S. hair and beauty customers are Black. A similar figure to the beauty supply industry at large. Black people shop at beauty supply because when you go into a store, they'll have a section called the ethnic hair care section, and they can be anywhere from 1 shelf to 4 feet to 8 feet, depending on the size of the store and location, says Sherman Willis. But they're only stocking selected items. Willis co-owns Willis Beauty Supply, a store on Livingston Avenue. The Black consumer or customers, they have a bigger category than just 4 or 5 selections of one item, Willis says. So you go to a beauty supply because normally beauty suppliers carry the full line of products. And even though the customer's base for beauty supply stores is overwhelmingly Black, Sam Hong, vice president of the National Federation of Beauty Suppliers, says 70% are owned by Korean Americans. The group oversees 30 regional beauty supplier interest groups. Most of the hair manufacturing was done out of Korea back in the day, Hong says. It was real human hair, so it is really expensive, but many Korean women actually cut off their hair to sell the hair to the hair industry to grow. And by the 1970s, most importers and the exporters of the hair were Korean. Some first generation Korean Americans went to work for eventually owned beauty supply stores themselves. Korean immigrants began selling wigs in stores, and then when products were previously sold door to door. Otherwise, where were you going to buy these beauty supply products if Koreans weren't there, Hong says. And so here you see pictured on shelves of wigs of the store that's called Miss Melanin in Canal, Winchester. And so many stores in the U.S. have seen several generations of Korean American owners, but Hong says that the industry is starting to shift now. The second generation kind of grew up or grown up and say, I'm never going to be like my parents, so I guess it's natural to not want to be in this business, Hong says. They'd rather have a job or a different profession instead. A tough business. WOSU spoke with these 3 second generation Korean Americans whose parents own beauty supply stores but are hoping to go into different professions, all declined to be recorded. So the dynamic is familiar to Philip Hahn, though. And so he owns Hair Joy Beauty Supply on Cleveland Ave, taking over the store from his father-in-law 20 years ago. So first I tried to study at OSU, Hahn says, but we have a baby and I cannot keep studying because I need money. So he is encouraging his children to pursue other paths and other careers. One of his sons now studies at Ohio State, and The other two kids are in grade school. Absolutely, I do not want my kids or want to give to my kids, Han says. Okay. Okay, so this is a selection of hair extensions at the U.S. Hair and Beauty on Dublin Granville Road. And so this is snippets of what these hair shops and beauty supply stores look like. And so one reason the store is open 11 hours a day, 7 days a week is demanding work, and Han wants his kids to find professions with better work-life balance. And so all the time I told my kids, yeah, please do something else. Spend more time with your family, and family is first, Han says. So Han says Han's desire to have his kids do something else is part of a generational shift in the industry. I see that the Korean numbers slowly every year are more rapidly declining in number, Han says. In 10 years, tough to say, but I see less than 30% of the beauty suppliers in the US being Korean American owned. More Black owners. Two major shifts in the beauty supply industry are happening at the same time. More Black women are sporting natural hair, and the Korean Americans leave the industry, and the stores that long cater to Black customers are increasingly moving into Black ownership. And so the Black Owned Beauty Supply Association says that there are about 3,000 Black owned beauty supply stores in the country as of now. And so that's about 150 more than last year. So Tamika Morris, and you're about to see her pictured underneath, is one of those new Black entrepreneurs, Black woman, who she opened Miss Melanin in Canal Winchester last year. As I did research, I realized 99% of the revenue that comes into these stores are by Black women themselves, Morris says. But I then realized a few number of the stores that are owned by Black women. And so she's holding a shirt. This is Tamika Morris. She's an owner of Miss Melanin, one of the 7 Black-owned beauty suppliers. Okay, Morris cannot afford to buy some products in have competitive pricing with other stores, so she focuses on experience instead. So going in, I knew I couldn't compete 1-for-1 with the Asian stores because they've been around for about 50 years to 30 years, Morris says. So the focus has always really been customer service and putting the spotlight on Black women. So Black-Owned Beauty Supply Association says that including Miss Melanin, there are now 7 Black-owned beauty suppliers just in Ohio alone. Okay, so I thought I would bring these issues out because a lot of people don't realize that this business is starting to shift, but it goes way back decades as to why this had happened. And I wanted to make light of that. And so I guess I will leave it on this. So give me your thoughts and feedback on how you feel about this. I do feel, I will leave this before I go, that it was very disrespectful. Now, what I've known from experience being a Black female myself and knowing that I have frequented some of these shops, and I have to be honest, a lot of times I don't spend a whole lot of money, but I do spend some money, but not every month. I'm not there consistently. I actually choose natural hairstyles and natural hair, my natural grade of hair, and which is 4C. And so a lot of times I won't wear a lot of these products. And if I do, I may wear braids, or I may wear like, my natural hair state. I don't really get into the weave thing very much. And I'm not saying this to put anybody down because everybody has their own criterion on what they like in terms of beauty. But I did see a disturbing video where some of these same people who were violated in the communities will still frequent some of these stores who are very disrespectful. And so I would say to you, go to another store where you'll be treated like a customer is supposed to be treated with respect. If you're going to spend money in a store, at least you could be in the least treated with respect and not attacked. The other thing is if people can't understand, kids do Silly stuff. If she was willing to take the keychain back, then why get into conversation with the customer? I noticed that in the past, I've always heard that the customer is always right. And so I wouldn't say that that's always true, but in this sense of the word and this sense of the case of this circumstance, the woman was bringing the keychain back. And so, however we see that something wasn't, orchestrated correctly, you can talk about the woman's parenting skills, or you could talk about the child. A lot of it I felt was just disrespectful. I felt like he really didn't have regard for his Black customers that frequent the store, and pretty much helped to build his business. Without Black dollars, he wouldn't be there. And so you could at least respect the customers that pretty much keep you in the community. And so there is now a shift that is happening because of these things that have been going on, and because now you have a new generation of Korean Americans who choose not to go in this industry because it's been long ago dominated by Korean Americans. Now you have a shift, which is an upside of this, where you have Black women who are now getting into this business. And it's because they're now trying to form an alliance that brings them into the Black hair care industry, which probably should have been what we would assume would have been the case before. And so I'm going to leave this video. So what are your thoughts and feedback on this? I just feel like this yes, I've seen the video of what happened in New York. I just feel like if you're going to patronize people, at least find places where people will treat you with respect. And trust me, there's going to be a lot of changes that are to come, because now we have Black people who are getting into the business of supporting other Black people in these businesses where they deal with hair care products. And because a lot of times what I've noticed is that even here, I've seen businesses that have opened up where there are Africans that are opening beauty supply chains out here in the LA area. And all around in California, I've seen African beauty supply shops that are opening up, where they have braiding hair, because cultural wise, most African culture or deals with a lot of braiding hair and extensions and doing all of the hairstyles, because it goes way back. And so a lot of these people have gotten into the business industry aside of it, and it is starting to flourish. And we also have people here from the States that are Black women, such as this woman right here, Tamika Morris, who is the owner of Miss Melanin. So this is just but one of 7 Black-owned beauty suppliers in Ohio alone. And so I'm going to leave this video. I just thought it was interesting, but what was disturbing is that when you have Black women who will go to these shops or go to these places where they've been disrespected, I know it's difficult. Some people may find it difficult, but think about it. Would you want to be mistreated like that, and then give your money to the person that's mistreating you? Why do that when you can go to another beauty supply shop? And most times, especially in LA, there's within, I say, less than 2 miles, you can find another beauty supply shop on another corner and be treated with more respect and dignity for your patronage and for you being a customer there and in the community and living amongst that, close to those businesses, rather than having to endure the treatment that is bad, and being brutalized and being treated in a way where it's, you would say, maybe disrespectful and sometimes even racialized, because sometimes some of these people have a view of you in racial ways that are negative, and so they stereotyped you. And so you can kind of feel it from some of these business owners when you walk in, and they want you to hurry up, and they want you to buy something and they want you to get out. They don't want you to kind of linger in the store. You're being followed around the store. Or if what they've done more recently, I've noticed that it used to be Korean people would follow you around the store. They pretend like they were cleaning up the shelves and they'd be watching you. Now they'll hire like maybe a Latin person or some Mexican person that works in the store that cleans up and that works alongside, and they will go down the aisle and pretend like they're shopping, or they'll pretend as though that they're cleaning up and they're really watching to see if you're going to steal something, or if you've been in there too long, they want to find a reason to kick you out because you're not paying them any money, you're not buying anything. And so who wants to go in a store and feel that kind of pressure and feel like you're being, stereotyped or racialized? So I just thought I would bring that out. So yeah, so the playing field for this industry is very much shifting, okay? And so I will leave this right here so you can see it. But anyway, with that being said, I'm going to let this video go and have a great weekend. Thank you for listening.